Hey,
Doing?
how are you?
I am trying to cool off in this summer heat.
Oh, no. Here, easily 110,
Oh, wow.
110, almost every day.
Wow. That's a lot. I remember that when I was in Las Vegas. That
Um,
that's too hot.
you
Hey,
know that, right? Um,
I remember that.
do you see me
Oh
too?
yeah,
I
I
see
see
you, but
you. Are you able to hear me?
oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I hear you and I see you, but I
Uh-huh.
was wondering if you see me too.
Yes, I see you.
Okay, I'm not familiar with Microsoft Teams.
Oh, okay.
My second
Okay.
time of using Microsoft Teams.
All right. I know Teams can be a little bit
Oh, here. Oh, now I see.
oh
Okay. All
yeah.
right. Yeah,
um
that's blocked by a message. So that's
oh
why I
yeah.
didn't see myself.
Um I know Teams can be a little weird depending on what system you're using, but I do appreciate you joining me for this pilot session. I'm giving this a try. Let's see how it goes. So you're officially my first guest,
Oh,
my
really?
first
I'm
instructor guest.
honored.
Yes.
Thank you, Gabriel.
So I mean, like I said, this is a pilot, so I'm trying to figure out what type of thing it is. But really, what I'm trying to go for, at least on the channel, is to have more of an education format and focus on academia. And so with that, I think I'd like to go ahead and just introduce who you are, and then we can go from there.
All right. It's
Yeah.
great. And thanks again for inviting to this great opportunity. I'm SJ. I'm an associate professor here at UNLV. Specifically, I'm working for entertainment engineering and design with amazing colleagues, which I love and very exciting. I do uh, several very interesting research projects that across the virtual reality, um, augmented reality, and wearable stuff.
I I I I think that's probably a good segue to go into some of the things that to bring up because you do have a PhD in human computer interaction, a master's degree in robotics, and a bachelor's degree in electronic and mechatronics engineering. And I'm very curious for your journey as an academic, how things have transformed from when you were studying human computer interaction to the types of human computer interactions we have today.
Yeah, that's very exciting, the field which I love. And I know the lot of people in the world and they are working for something in human computer interactions as well. I'd say human computer interactions, that's about us, how we people we interact with um, everything um, that's comprised of the world, right? Not only the computer, the medium, but
Hmm.
also everything that's configured in the world. For example, say even hallway, I mean in a classroom or in a
Hmm.
building or outside, the road, the sidewalk, or anything that's in the world, how we interact with those things.
Mm.
That's what human computer interactions people, how they do and what they do.
Hmm. Hmm. And in the aspect of entertainment engineering, how do those types of things how can they be utilized when it comes to learning experiences? I mean, today now we have augmented reality, we have tools like ChatGPT or learning large language models. So how can those types of technologies be incorporated in a student's life or even in a faculty's life as well too to transform a learning experience?
Yeah, I know there are a lot of things to talk about that, but the focus that I'm doing here, that is to augment the human experience.
Hmm.
So more likely, that's for amusement at this moment, not likely the learning, but actually on a broad sense, that includes the learning aspect of entertainment as well. But
Mm-hmm.
more specifically, what I'm doing as my primary function,
Mm-hmm.
that's in designing a new prototype with a goal of enhancing the human experience.
Mm, I see. I do have your webpage pulled up. Is it okay if I share my screen and kind of
Oh,
show
oh yeah,
like
please go ahead.
some of the cool things that you're doing? Let me just go ahead and change this and yeah, so a
Oh, wow.
telesocial glove, collaborative network, virtual experiences, the identification of cultural parameters. I mean, you have a lot of things going on. You're very busy.
I'm still updating the website, and
Oh yeah.
almost two months ago,
Uh-huh.
um, I was not able to update further. So that's it's kind of new website that I'm trying to update. So many things are outdated.
Oh, but still, I mean, I know that these types of projects take a long period of time, right? I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
you just start this project and in a week you get results. What do you typically find as like those definitions of being able to have a successful research project and and successful outcomes?
I'd say I know there are several different routes to achieve that, but I'd say defining the clear goal that is um, the key, to achieve the successful outcomes. So
Hmm.
yeah, defining the clear goal, what is the research is for, and based on that, what is the specific procedures to
Hmm.
achieve the goal.
Hmm. I see. I see. Yes, you do have a lot of human computer interaction, a lot of things to augment kind of the experiences that we have on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's a long time ago thing.
Oh,
See,
these
more
are amazing.
than, is it 10 years? Yeah, more than 10 years ago thing.
I do
And it's
recognize a
sort
couple
of
of these.
random.
I do remember the
Oh yeah,
and for
that one,
context
yeah. Yeah.
for context, I worked with you in your lab for some time, so I do remember the flying aerial robotics systems, the STEM origami as well, and of course the the Illuminator interactive projection robot. And
Yeah.
one of the things I really enjoyed was just kind of the being in that environment where it was sometimes bringing in a new piece of equipment and trying to figure out how it's going to work or how it's going to be fitting
Yeah.
into the project itself.
The drones as well, right?
Are you still doing drone work as well?
Not at this moment, but I do more focus on augmented reality and virtual reality.
How do you see where do you see augmented reality going? I mean, right now we have a lot of competition in the market, like with Google Glass or not Google Glass. Google Glass was a, a former one that didn't do too well, but now we have like Apple coming out with their own
Oh
AR
yeah.
tool, and then after that, other companies as well are kind of pushing that as well. Where where do you see that going? Because it seems like the industry has had a very hard time in being successful in that market.
It is that's true. But I see the future eventually. We will see more applications about augmented reality
Mm,
and also virtual reality as well. But
mm-hmm,
virtual reality is it's kind of um, like a reach the certain the level
mm,
um, that we can experience very well. But augmented reality, but still there is the huge room um, in which we can reach to the goals, meaning more opportunities in the
mm-hmm,
field of augmented reality. But
mm,
but I don't say the virtual reality has less opportunity in terms of technological advancements or something like that.
mm-hmm,
But both feel very much promising and have the great opportunities. But in terms of technological advancements, reality will have more
mm-hmm.
just compared to virtual reality. And what I'm doing here, I'm trying to utilize, where I stay, where I live here in Las Vegas. So as we had the chance to talk about one of the specific projects, right?
Mm.
Wow, that was more than 2 years ago, right? Already the time flies. So just Las Vegas-based virtual reality and augmented reality. So for example, utilizing MGM properties like a Bellagio
Mhm.
fountains and trying to
Mhm. Mhm.
integrate virtual reality and augmented reality. Like
I mean,
a domain specific or like a geographical specific augmented reality applications.
mhm. And you're in a prime location for that. You're in one of the entertainment capitals of the world.
Oh
And
yeah, it
so
is. But
I
there's a huge gap in between the commercial
mm.
and academic prototypes.
Oh, really? Well, tell me more about that gap. What was that gap you're referring to? As in
Say
like,
entertainment people, say like a street people, the industry, what they expect from any potential collaborators,
mhm,
very high ends, very
mm,
um, well developed, ready to sell products,
mhm,
such that way they can increase their value by
mhm,
providing either or both augmented reality or virtual reality products.
mm,
But outcomes, the research prototypes that I produce, and I think I can include some of the research products as well from other universities as well, but not much that level. I mean,
mhm,
it should be very high end so that they can exchange their service in
mm,
AR, VR, with certain, monetary or that kind of things. So I know there is a gap,
mm,
but we are keeping trying. At that level, very difficult to reach very high-end commercial level.
uh-huh,
Otherwise, there will be lots of things that I have to give up. I
mhm.
mean, like a research aspect of the project, but more
Mhm.
like a commercial aspect of the project. You
Mm.
understand, right?
I see.
So
So, yeah, in academics, you're more specific on the outcome in the research and not necessarily like a finished
you're right.
product. Where in
Yeah.
commercial, they want a finished product that they can take off the shelf, buy it, and just go straight to utilizing it. But
Yes, you're
academics
right.
is
Yes.
not like that. It's not whatever you work on in academia isn't necessarily ready for market.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the keys, one of the ways to get both, like an
Mhm.
academic achievements and the business aspect of achievement, more likely the profits, is a
Mm.
partnership. So for example,
Mhm. Mhm.
say ideally MGM, they are interested in developing new types of product, but something in augmented reality and virtual reality, for example, right? And
Mhm.
maybe difficult for them to create a team as a
Mm.
full-time job, right? Just
Mhm.
working on that purpose every day uh, with like a unforeseeable, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Unpredictable the market share, right? On that case, collaborate with a research unit in academia, right?
Mm.
More like a graduate students, right? A
Mhm.
masters and
Mhm.
PhDs and faculty and staff members, right? Because their primary functions are like creating new types of concepts and prototypes and
Mhm.
you know uh, new pedagogical, right? So new trend or new phenomena or something like that.
I see. And so when we're talking about the role of media or the role of entertainment in education, you see that as being the way that how these kind of companies or even entertainment itself in industry can work with academia in that sense of being able to try to partner with them and being able to create these types of opportunities to research things at a very affordable cost because then as an employer you're spending more money on
Yeah,
employees potentially, and you don't know where that money's going if they're actually like, is it a
yeah.
safer bet for for companies to invest in types of research projects with institutions? academic
I think
institutions?
so. Yeah, why not? And definitely, for example, PBS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is a PBS, you get public broadcasting. I forgot the last one. C, the
Mm-hmm.
PBS, right?
Mm-hmm.
Assistant, right? See, I know there are certain things that they can handle on their site, but I don't remember a specific the programs that I saw before with my son David, like an Ocean Explorer and some of the programs there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and better to collaborate with academia definitely. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the programs I forgot the title of the program. They visited UPenn, the University of Pennsylvania, the robotics lab,
Mm-hmm.
and like we are doing, and like Gabriel, like you are interviewing me today, and they did the same thing, but it's more
Mm-hmm.
likely on the public domain, right? Like a public
Mm-hmm.
the TV and radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as the media should convey certain knowledge and facts, I think it's better to collaborate with academia. But
Mm-hmm.
there are the lots of other the media, right? On the other hand, meaning they don't need to deliver any the pedagogical information, just 100% pure entertainment, like I don't know, but something I may be wrong, but 007, for example, right? They
Mm-hmm.
don't need to convey, they don't need to deliver any education information, right? But still, we learn something, from that kind of movies as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but right, like some certain kind of shows, right, happening in Las Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm.
100% just for entertainment purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, say the car, right? The car by Cirque du Soleil. I'd say maybe 10% something educational.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to learn something, from the show.
Mm-hmm.
But more likely, I may be biased, but I would say maybe more than 90%. That's just for entertainment. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
more than that. Yeah.
I mean, you bring up a show like Cirque du Soleil Ka, and that one's really impressive because they have a whole moving stage that rotates and lifts and
Hmm.
everything like that. And there's a lot of engineering that goes behind that kind of work that needs to be done very carefully. If not, I mean, it has happened. It was a very
Yeah.
tragic incident in Las Vegas where a performer fell and
Yeah.
fell to their death. And so there's a lot of engineering work that gets done, and I think I I would go as far as saying I think the audience sometimes takes it for granted. We're very spoiled nowadays with the type of technology and entertainment that we receive. But I'm sure, as you know, like there's a lot of work that goes behind that for safety, not just that for testing, equipment maintenance, all those things. And you're right. That's where maybe academia can come in and fill that gap, because in the academic standpoint, you can have these specific points of focus and be able to then branch it out. And then it benefits not just one entertainment company or show, it's then can be for everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Now,
but
oh, go ahead.
yeah, even though one like me is very excited in developing something for commercialization, but
Uh-huh.
actually the reality, on the other hand, I need to meet with the expectations by
Mm,
the university. You
mm-hmm,
understand,
hmm.
right? So, for example,
Oh,
number of journals,
mm-hmm,
the conference papers, and grant funding, and student advising, and that kind of things as well, right? So even though there is one, with something they really want to pursue,
mm-hmm,
but they need to um, to comply with the certain things that they need to meet. You understand, right?
well,
Right.
you got demands coming from everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Demands from students, demands from the dean, demands from the industry.
Right. But that Gabriel, good thing is academia is full of academic freedom and full of creativity. right?
Yes.
As long as, like you mentioned, what is the best way to successfully finish a project, right? So as long as one, like me or someone else, set up the goal with, the clear objectives, right?
Mm.
And the layouts, the specific, um, like the procedures and the steps, to achieve the goals and objectives.
Mm.
It's great environments.
So, being now that you're working at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Howard R. Hughes College of Engineering as the director of a lab, as well as an associate professor, uh, how is it now being on the other side? Because when you were a student, right, you were then probably working for another lab director and another having someone guiding you through your PhD, but now you're being the one mentoring and guiding. Are there some things that now click kind of where you were doing it as a student where it's like, this doesn't make sense. Why am I doing it this way? Or why are things this way? And then now that you're on the other side, you're like, oh, well, that kind of makes sense. Or anything like
Yeah.
that happen to you in your
Oh
career?
yeah, definitely. That's a great point, Gabriel. Many things. The many things. Um, the first thing um, that I'm thinking of, the literature review. I mean, I wasn't I wasn't diligent on conducting the literature review, which is a
Mm.
survey.
Mm.
Uh, and I'm trying to spend more time and also put more effort on this at this moment. But the the flying back to the time when I was a student, if I had spent more time on surveying on a certain interest that I want to pursue in my the graduate study, um, I could have better outcomes. So I
Mm.
do recommend for anyone else, for not only for students but also for anyone working on their own stuff, like a business, um, the papers, whatever, or just personal projects, especially that is about kind of new things, right?
Mm-hmm.
ex- Especially the required by the graduate students, like a PhD students. I
Mm-hmm.
do recommend them spending more time on doing literature review, what's been done,
Mm.
and what could be an opportunity, for them and for
Mm-hmm.
me as well. So when I write up a grant proposal, for example, right, I should spend more time and put more efforts on finding out, what's been done, what could be an effort, and such that way
Oh.
I can set up more clear and distinct goal,
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
my project, and that's gonna help me successfully finish the project. Otherwise, after spending a year or more than that, oh, that's been done by someone else, or
Mm-hmm.
that's not good enough to spend, the certain time.
Rather than reinventing the wheel, take the time to see what's already there. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I would imagine that's a lot easier nowadays to find, but I can also imagine that it's also just as challenging because now that we have the tools to be able to search mass amounts of databases, at the same time we also have the tools to make
Mm-hmm.
mass amounts of data as well too.
Yes, it is. I agree. Yeah, which is
That's a
good.
tough balance. Well, yeah, it's good.
It is
I
good, and that's gonna speed up our life. I mean, but I feel something very good these days. It helps me a lot, and so mentally, it's much better these days.
mm,
In the past, I has to um, spend more time on it, but these days, I spend less on that
mhm,
kind of stuff. But kinda in terms of the quality aspect of the outcomes, I would say it's getting better and better. I know on the other side, there are certain demographic, that's gonna produce more unreliable outcomes on that kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
But my case, it's much better. It helps me a lot, but kinda it's gonna you know drive me a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me a little busier.
It is very interesting how, and that's the thing, we won't know until time goes by and we see how it affects us.
Yeah.
Because now we're just getting mass amounts of information, which is to our benefit, but at the same time, uh, I don't think I would say humans weren't necessarily designed to be that way.
Agree. Yeah, agree. So, I have a specific case. So I got a data that I collected last year, and I wrote a paper, based on the data that I collected
Uh-huh.
the last summer, and that was this past January. I mean the time when I wrote a paper, right?
Uh-huh.
But actually, the data, it's it's not very much meaningful. When I check
Mm.
the outcomes, I mean the
Mhm.
results, from the data with the ChatGPT, right? It's exactly the same research projects that's done by many people
Oh.
already. So very difficult to find a very unique point, this
Mhm.
time.
And when you're in that situation, are you in a position where you're thinking, okay, how can I utilize this data in a different way and work with what I have? Or were you at a point where you realize, you know what, this just data is not going to work. It's not going to add
So
value.
what we discussed today, no, there is no way that we can use the data because exactly
Oh.
the same study that's
Mhm.
done by someone else. Actually, more
I
than
see.
one person. Yeah, it's by several different people. They
Mm.
conducted very similar studies. It's almost the same.
So this goes back to what you were saying about doing the research review or
Yeah,
the
literature review.
literature review.
I tested many times. It find out very quickly and very accurately, which is
Wow.
good. But that's why I said that drives very fast. So
Uh-huh.
people, they
Uh-huh.
don't need to do the same projects
Yes.
without certain kind of AI engines, right? In the past,
Uh-huh.
I would say maybe intentionally or unintentionally, right?
Mhm.
Say I didn't know that, the same study that's done already, but now it's easily we can figure it out whether or not it's been done or it
Mm.
could be an opportunity or something like that. And
Mhm.
I believe the same thing will happen on students, especially graduate
Mm.
students.
Mhm.
Easily
Mhm.
they can double check their research topics.
Now, are you based on our conversation, I take it that you're more of an instructor in the position of like, yes, let's use large language models and AI in the classroom, or are you more kind of reserved and saying, you know what, let's not rush into that?
um can you repeat
Oh,
that again,
yeah.
Gabriel?
Yes.
Sorry.
Are you an instructor more in the position where you invite students to use tools like ChatGPT as part of your class, or are you more in the position saying no GPT in the class?
First case, the
First
first
case.
one. And I did that already, right? I did that this past spring semester, and I introduced the ChatGPT and some other, AI-based applications like Microsoft's the Bing and Microsoft the Creator, Written, Writer, many different kind of things. Um, in the beginning of the introduction, I'd say more than 70%, 70, they didn't aware of those AI-based applications. And after spending I think 2 months, I had a chance to talk about that one again. And
Hmm.
most of them knew, definitely the ChatGPT and some other things as well. And
Hmm.
nowadays, I forgot when. Oh yeah, even almost 3 weeks ago,
Hmm.
when I ran a summer camp with the middle school kids, and there were 10 undergraduate mentors, the undergraduate students as mentors who worked with middle school kids. They
Hmm.
utilized the ChatGPT.
Oh, how
Yeah.
did you
So
find that age group of middle school students working with ChatGPT? Were they very curious? Were they kind of nervous? Like, what was that experience like with
yeah,
younger generation?
yeah. So the camp that was about learning the STEM as an informal learning. So not likely lecture based. So that
Mm,
was a project based. So when they worked on a certain project, so there were 10 teams, and each team worked on a specific project,
mm,
hands-on and tangible. And
mm-hmm.
when they was struggling with a certain programming, we use Arduino, and they utilize the ChatGPT on certain issues, and
Like
how to take
troubleshooting,
an input.
debugging.
Yeah, for example, yeah, how to take an input from on a GPIO, and
Uh-huh.
how to create different LED patterns, by a timer or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing they must have been excited. I would
Oh,
imagine that they
very
were
much.
very
Yeah. They really
okay.
enjoyed the camp. And when we finished the camp, and I feel the same, I miss them, and they miss the camp and all the organizers as well.
That sounds
Every day we
amazing.
met, that's why. It's kind
Uh-huh.
of it's natural.
I would imagine that. Um, and at that age, you see them kind of very in that age of discovery, right? When you're in that in middle school, even high school. I mean, constantly we're always constantly discovering new things, right? And especially as an
Yeah.
academic, you're always learning new things. So, one question I have for you, which would really be my last question, is what drives your curiosity?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Honestly, I had many times to think about that question, just for myself. Why I'm still, why I keep, trying to uh, know something else. Maybe my personality. I just say that would be my first answer. Just just myself. I'm just interested in knowing
Mhm.
something new, and there are several times just you know telling myself, hey, Ashley, you should stop. Trying to know something new and again. But I do say maybe I have a characteristic that I'm trying to um, learn something new, and such that way I feel kind of like an achievement, right? I feel
Mhm.
better just
Mhm.
based on uh, what I know, something new.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a personal uh, maybe habit or nature
Mhm.
or personality and also characteristic, but not likely just watching TV or just laying on a bed, not likely that way. I'm trying to keep myself awake, like when
Mhm.
I do something else. I believe there are many people doing the same thing when I eat, right, for my lunch or snack or dinner, right. Unless um, the time is not with someone else, just myself, I turn on whatever I can learn. I can learn something, even
Mhm.
YouTube or Netflix or news or whatever, right? I mean, just to maximize my time. So I would say I don't know, but if I just give my answer um, something nice, maybe I'd like to bring in Maslow's, this the human the hierarchy of the basic needs, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So maybe I know the model, but I know there are many people without knowing that model, right, doing the same thing, trying to achieve something else, right? It's kind of, I got the first layer and I have the another layer. Maybe I'm keeping trying to achieve the next layer or something like that. And I do many times, without knowing this one. But it's a great chance to record the model again, right? Since I got that question. So I don't compete anyone else, but I like something learning and something achieving. I think that's the reason.
It's amazing.
What about you, Gabriel? What about you?
I think you're very right with personality types. I mean, life is an experience that evolves constantly. It doesn't stop. You're always being put in new situations, and at least for me, when it comes to education and learning new things, curiosity is like that key component. Especially when you're trying to learn new things. Because when you're trying to learn something new, whether it's like programming, learn the piano, learn another language, there has to be some motivation towards that. And usually the ones who are able to pick these things up really quickly, it's because they have that burning desire to figure out, how does this work? What are the intricate details about it? And so you touch up on a lot of good points there about what drives your curiosity, which is like your personality, that want and that need, those personal needs and desires, and even Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a great illustrative way to do it, because once you have everything else around you taken care of physically, financially, personally as well, then it's about the self, right? And where you want to invest your time.
Yeah.
But I think you're doing some amazing work in Las Vegas. Is there anything you want to share with anyone watching this video of like how to connect with you, or maybe where they can follow you for your research projects?
No, at this moment, I have I have two projects that I'm focusing on these days, but not those reaches a certain level. So no, unfortunately, at this time.
Well, I really appreciate you joining us, and I
Thank
look
you,
forward to
Gabriel.
seeing the work that you do in the future.
All right, that's great. Thanks again for this great opportunity, Gabriel.
No, thank you, SJ. Take care.
Take care.
Talk
Bye
soon.
bye.